Hello everyone, my name is Bethany Villanueva, a third-year Bachelor in English Education student in Penyu, Mindanao, hosting for today's only podcast. Today's subject is material development, specifically how to select right teaching materials for student-centered approach and teacher-centered approach. Since I'm still a student, I called for experts, specifically one high school English teacher and a college English professor to get their perspectives. Let's give it up for today's guests, Ma'am Araceli Pantaleon of Tabina National High School and Professor Eileen Pantaleon of Northeastern Mindanao State University, Lianga Campus. How are you po, and how long have you been teaching?
I'm fine. Well, I have been teaching for 20 years.
Good morning, Bethany. I'm okay. We're still adjusting with the face-to-face modality now, but I'm still glad that it's easier than the pure modular and online learning. I started teaching in NEMSU, formerly SDSCC Lianga, way back 2011. So that's 10 years. Still looking forward for more years. Since then, I have not yet explored other teaching careers.
May I ask how you select teaching materials for a teacher-centered approach?
Teaching materials should be anchored from the learning competencies of the subject I am teaching. These materials are basically suited to the learning capacity of the learners, capturing their attention and interest. In this approach, though it seems boring to the part of the learners, I see to it that I can transmit learning in a lively way through the use of ICT, where learners can visualize what I am talking to.
In choosing instructional materials for teacher-centered approach, I made sure that the materials that I use are helping me in explaining or teaching the lesson to my students. And aside from that, these materials should be convenient, they are easy to manage, and that they are useful and coherent to whatever lesson I am teaching.
May I also ask how you select teaching materials for student-centered approach?
In the student-centered approach, still the materials are based from the learning competencies. Since the teacher acts as facilitator most of the time, I prefer to use contextualized materials. It is also important for me to accommodate all responses, so as long as it targets my goal. Involving students in group and recognizing their capacity in discovering things really count.
As to the materials for student-centered approach, I made sure that these materials are engaging and that they are arousing the interest of my students. Aside from that, I also made sure that these materials should integrate technology because, again, we are on the 21st century and that my students should be learning how to use technology in teaching. And also that these materials, aside from that they're engaging or they are integrating technology, they should be coherent also in the lesson. Overall, whether it is teacher-centered or student-centered approach, I believe that it is wise and it is a must that teachers should always go back to the basic, and that is checking on the needs and the capacity of the learners in choosing whatever material.
I really appreciate all of your insights and wisdom, Ma'am Araceli and Professor Eileen. Your answers mean so much to me, especially for my field study soon. To those who are listening, I hope their answers will help you how to select materials for the approach you're taking. That's it for today's episode. Leaving you with the quote by Joyce Meyer: "Teachers can change lives with just the right mix of chalk and challenges."